Welcome. In this video we'll be graphing absolute value functions. Let's take a look at our example. Identify the vertex of the function g of x equals the opposite of the absolute value of x plus 2 minus 3. Then let's sketch the graph of the function. So notice that we're provided the function g of x is equal to negative, or the opposite of the absolute value of x plus 2 minus 3. The general form of the absolute value function is of the following form. G of x is equal to a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k, where h comma k happens to be the coordinates of the vertex. What we're going to do here is to match up things. So notice that here we have an implicit -1, so we can draw the following conclusions. We can say that a is equal to -1. Then we also have that negative h is equal to positive 2. So we need to divide both sides by -1. And we can conclude that h is equal to -2. And we can also conclude that k is equal to -3. Therefore, we can say that the vertex in this case will have coordinates h comma k, or precisely -2 comma -3. The next thing we're going to do is to come up with a t-table with 5 values. So we would say here we have x, and then we have that y, which is the same as g of x, is equal to the opposite of the absolute value of x plus 2 minus 3. Now, the third value, or the value in the middle, out of the 5 values that we're going to use, will be the one corresponding to the vertex. So we have, in terms of x, the value will be -2, and in terms of y, it would be -3. Then we choose the two values before that, so we have -3 and -4, and then we choose the two values after that, so we have -1 and 0. Substituting in, we get the following. The opposite of the absolute value of -4 plus 2 minus 3. The opposite of the absolute value of -3 plus 2 minus 3. The opposite of the absolute value of -1 plus 2, an absolute value of minus 3. And then the opposite of the absolute value of 0 plus 2 minus 3. Let's go ahead and evaluate each expression. So here we have -4 plus 2 is -2. The absolute value of -2 is 2. The opposite of that is -2. Minus 3, we have -5. Then for the next one, we have -3 plus 2 gives you -1. The absolute value of that is 1. The opposite of that is -1. Minus 3 gives you -4. Then we don't have to do any work here because we already identified the k value or the corresponding y value. So we go to the next one. -1 plus 2 is 1. Absolute value of 1 is 1. The opposite of that is -1. Minus 3 gives you -4. And then we have 0 plus 2 is 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The opposite of that is -2. Minus 3 gives you -5. So we have the coordinates. We can extend this particular t-table to come up with the coordinates for the points represented here. And we have coordinates -4, comma -5. Then we have -3, comma -4, -2, comma -3, -1, comma -4, 0, comma -5. So plotting those points, we can do a quick sketch real quick here. So we have -4, comma -5. Then you have -3, comma -4. We also have -2, comma -3, -1, comma -4, and 0, comma -5. So connecting those points, we can get a quick sketch of our particular function. Notice that this will be our function. This is an actual v-shape flipped down. So you can say, okay, this is a v-shaped function, which happens to be an absolute value function with equation g of x is equal to the opposite of absolute value of x plus 2 minus 3. So that concludes this video on graphing absolute value functions. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.